Oh, I had Moody on the other day.
Oh yeah, no, I heard about that.
He
He
was
let me
excellent.
know. Yeah,
He
he's
he
he's
let the
good,
world
man.
know.
Yeah, he's good at it. Did he talk about me at all?
I'm trying not on the pod, but we talked off
Uh,
air a fair
uh,
bit.
he normally brings me up and stuff. He tries to shout me out, but I'm too Hollywood now, I guess, for the shout outs.
It's the Green Release NBA 2K podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the Green Release NBA 2K podcast. Today's an exciting episode for me because it's the first chance I've had to talk on the podcast to a member of a 2K League team. Here he is, my guest, Jonah Edwards, aka Daddy Jonah, formerly of Throwdown fame and now a member of the Dallas Mavericks gaming. So how are you, Jonah? How's Dallas?
I'm good, man. Dallas is great, man. We actually just got living quarters earlier this week for the team, and that's where we're staying now. It's amazing. These apartments are really awesome. So
Yeah.
we're super excited. Yeah.
Are you close to the arena in the apartments? Or you can't
I
say?
mean, we're decently close to the arena. No, I'll say we're decently close to the arena. The one thing we wanted to make sure of is that we're close to where we're working every day, which the gaming facility, which is literally a 5-minute walk down the road.
Oh, nice.
We're also in an area that's about 5-minute walk from 30 restaurants and bars. Our facility
Stop it.
No, not kidding, man. Not kidding. Not a joke. We have full workout facility, open 24 hours in this apartment complex. We also have a half basketball court inside, stuff like that. So there's a
Wow.
lot of really cool stuff. It's super secure. You have to have like a key fob to get everywhere. So just like it's like it's kind of surreal, It's really awesome. So we're really excited where we're at right now. So
Wow, that's awesome. Wow. I'm gonna have to get my 50 wins and get drafted to Dallas.
you and everyone else, right? I hear that a lot. My Twitter says the same thing. So
Yeah. Has your since you took the coaching job in Dallas, has your Twitter just been blown up with people tagging you in walk-on highlights and all that wonderful stuff?
pretty much, I've gained almost 2,000 Twitter followers since I took the job, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
Which just blows my mind because a lot of people still ask me like, "Did you even play 2K?" And it's like, man, I used to play this game competitively too.
Oh,
It's really funny.
come
Man.
on.
People just don't know. They just don't know the history. It's all good though. But I remember those guys that were with me from day one. There's a handful of them. So, but yes, I definitely get a lot of the videos on the notifications and tag tweets that go 20 replies deep, and I'm in every notification. It's basically like to the point where I have to like shut it off sometimes. I just have to. So
Yeah, look at the ones you can and let most of them go. You can't respond to everybody. It's ridiculous.
and especially I have my DMs open for everybody to like go in there and message me if you want to drop a link, if you want to like, hey, like say this is me, if you want to introduce yourselves. Like I'm very much like the kind of guy that I know that anyone could be in my shoes, so I don't want to let any and I know a lot of people are like they're trying to make a livelihood out of this, and who am I to not be able to like reply and be open with these guys that are working hard trying to make this their career. So I want my goal is to always like reply to everybody if possible. If you're going to come in my DMs and you're going to ask me any reasonable question or a reasonable comment, I'm going to reply to you. I mean, there are the few that I don't reply to because it's just some of it's just nonsense a little bit. That's in everything, right?
Yeah. Quick tip: if you're gonna drop a link in Jonah's DM, introduce yourself first. Don't just drop a link in there. Say hello.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
All right. So I seen you went to watch your Periscope. You went to San Antonio. Was it last weekend?
Yeah, it was last weekend for PAC South. Yeah.
So how overrated is the Riverwalk?
The Riverwalk was pretty cool. It wasn't like some crazy tourist experience. I like San Antonio. It's like a little, it's a big town, right? But it doesn't seem big. It doesn't feel big, which I think is why a lot of people like San Antonio. I was lucky enough to go to a game down there at the AT&T Center. That was awesome. A lot of
The
fun.
crowd is crazy down there at the AT&T Center.
The facility is pretty nice too. I liked it a lot. So I was lucky enough to be able to go to that, and obviously PAC South was pretty cool. A lot of indie games. It was definitely a unique experience. I've never been to like a gaming convention like that. Back in my hometown in Indianapolis, I mean, we have Gen Con every year, which is, I mean, kind of it's a little funky fun, but it's just a lot different than that. So.
Okay, gotcha. I've been to San Antonio once and did the whole Alamo thing, stand in front of it and take photos. I don't know. I liked San Antonio, it was cool, but just the Riverwalk is overrated. Anyway, and you held the Dallas little meetup in Dallas at the Microsoft store I've seen as well. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. We actually hosted a 2-on-2 tournament yesterday. So what we did is we actually had 8 setups, and we loaded 2. We loaded 4 into the same my court, which was like 1 guard, 1 big, and we tried to make the overalls and badges as even as possible. So, for example, we had 1 guard that was a 95 overall pure sharp with full badges. His partner was like a stretch rebounder that was like an 86, right? And then they're playing against a 93 overall with all his badges and an 87. So the whole goal was that it's like an even playing field and that you don't know your player and that you're jumping in. So it's almost like emulating the combine or emulating what the 2K League could potentially be like.
Yeah, that's very cool that you did it in the my court. How did it run smoothly?
Yeah, we wanted to do something unique. Like we didn't want to just like do the one-on-one, team versus team type thing. And obviously Pro-Am it's too hard to work out the logistics for that. So we went with the direction we did with the my court. It ran pretty smooth. Obviously, sometimes my court has issues. Period. So we had a few issues. Every few rounds in the tournament, like everyone have to reload back into my court. But I mean, aside from that, we had no one signed into the accounts. And I really, if anyone's listening that let us use their account, we really appreciate y'all because that's like huge for us. Because obviously, I'm not going to grind up 8 accounts and get them my court ready for the tournament. So.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So Annoying and Worthing Cole actually won.
Sure.
So yeah. Shout out them.
All right, let's get into the meat of what I wanted to talk about, and that's how this opportunity came up with Dallas, and why did you sort of eschew the opportunity to be drafted as a player?
Right. So me like deciding to coach and not be a player was one of the tougher decisions I've made. I definitely like the people that are especially in my circle definitely thought I was good enough. Everyone's pushing me to do it. Especially like those guys on Throwdown, and that they very were willing to start me in their lineup and make sure I can get there and do all those things. And really, the whole process started months ago when Anthony was asking for draft boards in 2K17 and I was still, obviously, I was playing with Throwdown. I was lucky enough to go down to New Orleans with them in February as their guest and get to kind of be in that whole experience. And, we bonded a little closer. And then, that I just was able to network with Anthony right away. And he saw that, that I was one of the leaders in the community and that, I'd definitely be a good fit and that I have deeper knowledge of esports than just NBA 2K. So not only do I know a lot of the competitive community, but I also, I just understand esports, whether it be League of Legends or Counter-Strike, or Madden or just several games. I actually understand them a lot and I watch a lot of just competitive gaming in general. So I was able to, like I said, network with him and then get in with a few guys in the Mavericks organization and then basically had the job right before Anthony left to go to Cleveland. He decided to do that, which, no hard feelings at all for him doing that. Like I want to make sure that's clear. Like I have nothing but respect for Anthony. So, but then, when he did that, he handed me off to Roger, and Roger and I clicked right away. And then Roger decided to go ahead and bring me into Dallas as well. So was hired, then didn't know, was in limbo for a little while, and then was for sure hired again. So it was a little crazy, a lot of turmoil in those months, but I just had to keep grinding, whether it be, playing the game a lot to make sure I'm perfected if I have to, go through the combine system, and then also, making sure I'm doing stuff on the back end and keeping things quiet. That way I can secure this coaching job.
Were you a little bit worried when Anthony moved over to Cleveland?
I was definitely a little worried, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I always had enough faith in myself that I thought I would get drafted anyway. Like I really just, I thought that like, one of my biggest things is versatility. And I think that I'm a decently versatile player, or at least was, right. Cause I don't play near as much now cause I'm mainly focused on spectating. But yeah, and that's what I look for a lot in players too, is just versatility. You know, I like a guy that, you know, if I can draft a guy at the 3 who can also play the 4 or the 5, I'm lucky enough to be able to pick the next best player available and not have to design, you know, my draft scheme to be, hey, I need a power forward here. Instead, I can say, hey, I can flex him to the 4, and then I can pick the next best guy.
So I just want to know, if you don't have it laid out yet, that's fine. I just wanted to know what like a typical week would look like for yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, I think it's, you know, it would kind of depend on what our schedule is going to be. I don't know. Obviously, plans are we fly out every weekend. So that would mean, I don't know if that means we fly out on Friday or we fly out on Saturday. I don't know if we're going to be playing games, you know, on Saturday or Sunday, on Friday or Saturday. I see. So it's a little toss up there, but I would say, hey, we got like, normally we'll do like one day off a week, where teams can just, we can rest, right? I want my players to be, you know, fully committed to this, but also understand that, you know, this isn't a 24-hour thing. They can at least like take some breaks. But then like a normal day would be, hey, we're going to get up at a reasonable hour, whether that be 9, 10 o'clock. I know to some people that's late, but in the gaming community, that's early.
That's a gamer schedule.
Yes, it is. That's not too early, and it's not too late. So I think around 10 or so, and then I would imagine we work out as a team together. That's huge for us. Is we want physical activity with our players. We want to make sure we're physically fit, because physical health equals mental and emotional health. At least in our eyes, definitely that's true. And then after that, you know, we'll go to our facility and we'll practice. And obviously we'll fit meals in there too. You know, different days we'll have different stuff going on, whether it be events or photo shoots and you know, stuff like that. We have all kinds of cool stuff planned for the team. We're going to go to our facility, which, by the way, is going to be just absolutely spectacular. We're really planning something big here in Dallas, and I'm so excited to share it with the community as soon as possible. But this facility is going to be awesome. It's going to be a place where everyone wants to go. You're never going to like dread going there. It's just going to be like an awesome, surreal experience every day. So I would assume at that point, we'd go to the facility and we'd work, which basically can consist of, you know, scrimmaging other teams in the 2K league, you know, potentially bringing in local talent, playing against them. So really we have some different things we're working on that end. And then, you know, we'd have maybe potentially some sort of review of film, you know, breakdown of stuff. And obviously, you know, we'll fit team meetings in there, stuff like that. And that's kind of what a day-to-day looks like. And then obviously we want to make sure you guys have some free time. Normally we'll eat dinner together, do stuff like that too. We want to make sure we're bonding as a team. So, but our one big thing is, you know, we can bond, we can be together all day, but at night you have your own apartment. So at least your own room in the apartment. So you're able to like relax and rejuvenate and have that, you know, not always be with people, have a little privacy. So.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely amazing. Whoever, you know, these people who get drafted to the 2K League are just in for, you know, a life-changing experience. But I wanted to hit on a couple of things you said there. So rest, as an esports coach, Jonah, is a rest day to you no controllers, no gaming, or a little bit? What are you thinking?
Well, I think that like still on rest days, I would hope that our guys want to push themselves and get better. And that's a conversation to be had definitely, and you know, privately with the team and see what everyone feels is best. But I definitely think that like as a team, we need to be committed to, you know, not burning ourselves out on the game, because in other esports that is a real thing that happens. You know, people get sobered out on the game; they don't even want to play competitively anymore. And you know, when you're playing a game six days a week, especially, you know, let's say we fly in late on a Sunday night, you know, from whatever location we're playing at for that week, and you know, we had a rough weekend. Maybe we didn't perform that well. Guys are beating themselves up. You know, it isn't the worst thing ever to say, hey, let's take Monday off. Let's just rejuvenate ourselves so that on Tuesday we can just hit it really hard. But obviously, you know, that's the kind of stuff we're going to have to play by ear a little bit. And hopefully, you know, that never is a situation we have to worry about. You know, hopefully we just go and we win every week. But I definitely I would hope that like on most rest days, our guys still want to like play a little bit, you know, but I want to make sure, hey, if you want to like go walk around it's Dallas, Texas. We're living in a beautiful area called Deep Ellum. It's awesome. So literally I would love for these guys to, go experience Dallas a little bit. Not just like, stay in the facility or their apartment all day long.
Yeah. And my word of advice is to get down to Austin, Texas. That is my favorite place in the entire universe. That town is amazing, or city. I'm telling you, Jonah, get down there.
Well, we've actually been invited to go down to Austin in a few weeks. Well, not a few weeks. I think it's a couple months for a festival that's down there. So it sounds like I will actually be going to Austin in a few months here. And so it'll be in March at some point.
South by Southwest, or?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think
enjoy.
Yeah. It'll be awesome.
Eating dinner together. I can only imagine how bad leaving 6 gamers in a house to their own vices would be in terms of eating habits. So I'm just wondering how you're going to keep a track of what these guys are eating to remain in peak mental condition for gaming.
Sure. Yeah, that's a fair question, and that's one of the questions I probably get the most is like, hey, how do these guys stay fit? It's like pro gamers are kind of the stereotype, which is just such a false stereotype, right? It's been proven wrong on so many occasions, but it's like, hey, it's a bunch of big fat guys, right? I mean, that's reality. That's what a lot of people think, especially the older generation, and we're working with a few different people on building a good healthy diet for our players, and the logistics of working all that out. But I think a lot of it's going to be, hey, we're going to be grocery shopping for the guys. We're going to make sure they're eating well, and that doesn't mean, hey, you can't ever have pizza again. That's not what that means, right? It means you can't have pizza every day.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people right now, in the community are pretty healthy, and I know there's a lot that aren't. And that's completely okay, but that's kind of our job to make sure that you're at least going on the right direction there. Obviously, if you completely refuse to do this stuff, it is what it is. I can't force your hand completely, but obviously, we will definitely encourage everyone to be healthy, and we'll definitely provide the resources to do it.
Yeah. If you're an esports player for an NBA franchise, do the right thing, eat the right foods, do the training, don't mess that up. Another thing I wanted to ask about, you're an Indiana guy, big basketball state. Are you an X? How are your X's and O's? Are you?
That question alone may be the most frequent one I ever get in my messages on Twitter. Is that question? What offense? What scheme are you running? Because a lot of people think like 2K is just so simple that, hey, run 5 out every play. Which is kind of, how the community perceives Pro-Am right now. And it's a little silly, but, so, I mean, how I know, my X's and O's, it's not like I'm not Brad Stevens. I'm not, I'm not Popovich. I am an Indiana guy. My dad was a basketball coach. My older brother is a basketball coach. So it kind of runs in my family, right? I played basketball a lot. Indiana, I was born into basketball. That's just how it is there. Yeah. So I have decent knowledge, and I think the biggest thing is that I know what kind of stuff works on 2K because I come from that community. And I think that a common misconception is that people that don't come from that 2K space don't understand what does and what doesn't work in the game. These crazy, motion offenses that just don't work. You can't do a flex offense. You can't flex cut into the paint every time. It just doesn't work. The angling isn't the same in real life as it is on 2K. So, as much as I'd love to be able to run plays that have multiple, screens on the backside, and we hit a high low into the post off a couple screens. It's just not reality. I have 24-second shot clock, and I don't want to do what it takes to make it look as much like real life basketball. We just want to win here in Dallas. That's my goal, especially. So.
Yeah, I gotcha. We often try to run a flex cut, and all it takes is for the defense to bump you, and it just ruins the whole motion. And as far as it pains me to say, but the dribble moves are so effective in NBA 2K that it's sort of you can't go away from them too far.
Yeah, as much as 2K is pretty good and close to reality, it's still a simulation at the end of the day. So you're never going to be able to emulate exactly what the NBA is like. And in a lot of ways, that's almost good to me, because I don't want the same product. I want something different. I don't want, if I wanted to play, I would just go play basketball, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, I feel that way. Obviously, it's a little different. It's a whole different situation, but it's just interesting how there is a lot more potential than people think there are, and that's definitely true. And we'll definitely come up with some unique stuff. But for the most part, you'll see us doing which is a high pick and roll works. It does. 5 out does work. That isn't to say that we're going to run 5 out and no one's going to ever move, and we're going to PG ISO the whole game. That's definitely not reality either. But I mean, whatever we want to do, whatever it takes to win.
Yeah, and that's a great attitude to have. I know it won't. The NBA is too smart about how they conduct themselves, but the 5 out thing is just so boring to watch for me, Jonah. I'm a massive 2K guy, and if it was sort of divulged into that style of on-screen product, I couldn't even watch it. So anyway, it won't come to that. However, let's hope it doesn't.
I mean, I would be very surprised to see that everyone's running 5 out every play. That would be incredibly surprising to me. And to be honest, I think that is definitely an offense that can be stopped. So I feel like if people want to try to run 5 out every time,
I'm not asked this a fair bit, but I see it a fair bit on Twitter. People trying to establish themselves as coaches, quote unquote coaches in the 2K community. What sort of little pieces of advice would you give to the 2K community who want to get into what you're doing?
Yeah, so in the past few weeks, especially it's been a lot of people that are been kind of reaching out to teams like, hey, I want to be a coach. Mm-hmm. My biggest thing is and always has been, and it's been networking. I've been around the 2K community, since 2K10 competitively. I first met the first member to throw down I first met was Moody back on NBA Live 09. So some people don't realize how deep that bond goes, and how deep, we actually know each other. We grew up together. It's kind of crazy, I first remember playing guys like Hot Shot back on 2K9. It's been that long.
Wow.
So, I've known these guys for a while, for forever, basically. And so, I was lucky enough to go to school, study up. I'm a big business guy. I always have been. I've always wanted to work in business. So I was able, to get real close to finishing my degree, and then, was able to network really well. And then everything just kind of fell into place. So I think the biggest thing is like acting, being professional, and not just being a front, right? I mean, that's really truly who you are. And I know a lot of people see that now with me too, is, they don't see me hardly ever on camera, not in a suit nowadays. I mean, I just, on my Periscopes, even yesterday at the Microsoft event, I'm wearing a suit, that's just me. I want to make sure that this is like perceived as the most professional thing possible. And then, and that I am that way too. So being professional and networking are both huge. And then obviously knowing the game too. I think that's a huge advantage for people right now. It's so easy to hire an esports coach from a different esport, but they don't understand 2K. And I think that 2K is a very unique game. It's not like other esports. Huge like difference in personality between like different teams. Like they just function so much differently. And not only that, but just understanding how the game plays, it's just so massive.
You said we spoke about this off air. How you sort of differentiated yourself with regards to making draft boards early on when the whole 2K League was announced. Do you want to speak a bit about that? Because that definitely set you apart from the pack.
Yeah. So Anthony asked several people to do draft boards, and I was, lucky enough to be one of them, which basically happened because of my relationship with Throwdown. He just had heard about me through the grapevine from them. And so he reached out to me like, hey, let's talk. And so we did. And then he asked me to do a draft board. And obviously I did that. And I went all out. I mean, I just shelved out this entire thing. it was seriously, you know, I had player descriptions, I had a risk factor on each player, I had most versatile, you know, just things like that. Where it wasn't just like a list, you know, I saw some of the other ones, and some of them were like a list of 40 names, just top 40 players. Mine was instead 25 in every position with player bios, things like that. So I was able to like really differentiate myself, and also show that I have like deep understanding and knowledge of the community. You know, I'm lucky enough to have been able to play on both consoles as well. So, you know, even though I came from the Xbox scene, and I especially know those guys, I had played on PS4 for several months, and it was really starting to understand and know most of the guys on the PS4 side as well. So I knew both consoles, and then just really was able to like transform that draft board into something that was pretty cool and different.
Yeah.
And it definitely like showed that I was taking this very seriously. And then one thing I did that I don't know how much of a factor this actually was, but it seemed at the time, especially like it was important to me, was, you know, all these people were posting pictures of, you know, all the gear they got from the Mavs gaming. And it was like, you know, for doing the draft boards, and, you know, I just kind of work in silence. And that's one of my big things too, is I do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and no one even knew what I was doing. You know, no one even knew Anthony and I had a relationship at all. I made that a priority to me, to make sure that like I just was focused on our interaction and not making everything public. And I think he saw that as well as something that was a positive in me.
Yeah, I must admit, I got a little bit of swag, and I did post it on Twitter, so don't hate me, Jonah. But
oh no, it's not like that at all.
No, I was just going to say I'm trying to get attention to the podcast, so I don't know. It's a bit different, I would hope.
Yeah, 100% different. And that is not to say that like those guys played it wrong. I just played it differently.
Sure.
And in a lot of ways that worked in my favor.
Just on the outside looking in, I think you provided value, which is one of the number one things you can do in business, is provide value. So you did that for Anthony, and it paid off in spades. Yeah,
absolutely. And then obviously, like I've mentioned before, and I bring this up a lot, and pretty much everyone asks me this when everyone coaching in esports, and I just get the infrastructure in the space. And so I'm able to like really like understand what my job description and my requirements are. So it makes everything a lot easier. You know, are looking for somebody who's from the 2K community. I just really get what I'm supposed to be here to do. That really helps me out.
Yeah, that's great. So in Dallas, you obviously had the meetup yesterday. How receptive has the Dallas Mavericks organization been to esports? And when you got there, did the whole staff, I guess, sort of know what esports was about?
They definitely been really receptive. My boss, his name's Ronnie. He's the CFO of the Mavericks. He is like the ideal guy, right? He's like the ideal boss. He's seriously like he totally tries to get it in every way. So open-minded, super patient with us, because sometimes we ask a lot, we demand a lot, and he just tries to work with us in every way. Seriously, I'm telling you, like he's like the most patient guy I've ever met. It's so awesome. He's such a down to earth guy. But for the most part, I would say like super receptive. I think that like, you know, the irony of the name Mavericks isn't lost, right? I mean, Mark Cuban is a technology maverick, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy. I think he definitely is. And already has been involved in the esports space. So I think a lot of people already knew what esports was in the organization. There definitely is still a learning curve there. Like people definitely there's some that are just completely ignorant to it. And I don't blame them. You know, this is brand new. They don't understand what's going on. A lot of people don't even play video games or have no interest in them. And that is completely fine. But I mean, it's fun being able to talk to people. And I literally am having like a lunch meeting this upcoming week. Staff members, hey, what is it you guys are doing? Wants to hear more about it, and that's awesome. You know, that's encouraging to me, and you know, maybe I can be lucky enough to spin a free lunch out of it. So,
have you met Cuban yet? Have you seen him in the office yet?
He has been in the office a few times. I haven't like officially like formally met him, but I get it. He's such a busy guy. You know, as the season comes closer, definitely happen. You know, I went to IU, which is where he went to school as well, and he's just a legend.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He's just the legend. That's still all people talk about in the business school there at IU is Mark Cuban. And then, being able to like work in his organization and stuff. And still he's the same. It's the same legend. Like Mark Cuban's the best guy. It's just really funny. It's just funny how it's all worked out.
Yeah. What, just out of an interest and aside, what did your college, I guess, professors and classmates and whatever say about you going to do this, knowing that you'd be working with, I guess, the Dallas organization?
Well, I come from I used to work retail too. So people were like blown away. At first, I think that people thought I was just lying because that's how it is nowadays. Most people just assume you're a liar when you're doing something cool. And so people just kind of thought that. And then eventually I was like, yeah, that's my last day. I'm going to Dallas. And they're like, whoa, what for? And it's like, I told you this 2 weeks ago, what I'm doing. Yeah, I think there were a few professors that thought it was really cool. A few of them definitely just thought I was completely lying to them though. Wow. Which is really funny. It's funny how it all works. Yeah. I mean, to be honest though, like if you had told me 2 years ago that this NBA 2K league would exist, I'd have looked at you like there's just no chance, right? Like it wouldn't have seemed like reality. And there are some days where I wake up and I don't it feels like I'm in a dream. Just crazy. Mm-hmm. So I don't blame them at all. It's just very, very interesting. But I mean, for the most part, people have been so excited, right? I mean, just to think about, a guy from, I graduated with 52 people in my graduating class, a small school in Indiana in high school, and then went on to go to IU for a couple of years. And then I'm finishing up at Ball State University now. So, yeah, I mean, it just, I come from a big family I have 5 siblings. I'm the only one to ever leave Muncie. I'm actually from Muncie, Indiana. I'm the only one to ever leave. It's just been really crazy. So I have a huge support system back home that are all pulling for me. It's hard because, everyone wants a t-shirt. It's hard because I want to send them as many as home as possible, but I can't send home 50 t-shirts, So it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Send one to Australia when you get a chance. Please, Jonah.
I'll see what I can do, man. I'll definitely see what I can do.
Just some quick fire questions to clear things up too. The information's out there, but I want to get your opinion on them. So drug testing in the 2K League?
Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Oh, I'll say again. Just no, it's my internet connection's rough. Just some rapid fire questions to clear things up. So drug testing in the NBA 2K League?
Yeah, as far as I know, there definitely will be drug testing in the 2K League. I know that they've announced that. I know Brendan talked about it on Reddit at one point, I believe, and there definitely will be, and that will definitely include marijuana, guys. So I get it's kind of crazy because people will just openly talk about it, but I get questions in my DM like, "Hey, when do I need to be sober by so I can pass this drug test?" And it's like, I can't really answer that question for you, but it's a little wild that you're asking me that. But I mean, I guess I get it because it is legal in some states. But I mean, yes, there will be drug testing, and yes, you will have to be completely sober.
Yep. Players. So the 2K League announced the official cutoff date for 18-year-old players would be the 31st of January. That's 100% official
right
now.
Yes. Yep. That's right. And I know that when we had brought these questions up, that wasn't official, right?
Yeah. It's a hard cutoff. There's no dispensation for 1 day, 2 days.
No, it's the 31st.
Players with children and relocation.
Yeah, so I mean, everyone will for sure be relocating, and I see a lot of people. What do I do with my wife and kids if we decide? If I'm lucky enough to get this opportunity and I decide to take it. And, that's definitely a question to be had with the managers or the management of whatever team you're going to. But I can tell you that it's definitely a rough situation because we want your full commitment and we want this to be your number one priority. And it's just hard to think that I was a dad and, had several kids and I was bringing them with me that it's hard to think that I would have 2K as my number one priority. So it's just a difficult thing. It could maybe work, but it's definitely something to really think about, guys. So I know a lot of people are in that situation. It's just something to think about, and you'll definitely have to work it out on a case by case basis. But definitely, not something that's like real for the team.
Yeah, gotcha. And last one, just overseas players. Any general comments on overseas players?
Yeah, we fully encourage any international players, whether that mean, you're from Europe, whether it be South America, down there in the AU NZ area, down there in Australia, or I mean, obviously in China too. China has a huge, NBA following, multi-million players of NBA 2K that live in China. So we obviously would encourage you guys to try out. I'm assuming they have to go to the exact same system as everybody else to pull out of the draft combine and, and then be picked and selected in the draft. So, but I mean, we fully encourage it. I know there is definitely some good talent overseas as well. So I would be remiss to just completely not acknowledge that there's just a really talent overseas.
Actually, someone DM'd me the other day from Thailand, I believe. I can't remember now what they wanted. But yeah, no, they wanted to play on our servers. I'm not sure if Australia and New Zealand can match up with that far into Asia. However, anyway, it was interesting. There's players out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had someone from Georgia messaged me.
Oh, wow.
The other day. Yeah, so they're like, hey, I'm from overseas. And I'm like, where? Georgia. That kind of blows my mind too. I wouldn't ever think of that.
There's an NBA player from Georgia. Oh, Zaza, right?
Is he from Georgia? Pachulia is? I'm not sure.
I think it's Zaza. Yeah, because the whole of Georgia tries to vote him into the All-Star game every year.
Oh, that is right, isn't it? I know he does almost get voted in every year. That's right. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, Zaza. Anyways. So just a few things before I let you go, Jonah. Obviously, the players will come through the draft tryout. February is coming. But what's the best way for players to be seen by yourself or Roger? Obviously, don't constantly spam your timelines with walk-on highlights, but what are you looking for?
Right. Definitely, specifically, I'm looking for, guys that are professional, positive-minded guys, especially on Twitter. I can't see. I see everything, guys. I really do see everything. And if I see you acting negative, talking poorly about people on Twitter, I even have a specific example. I saw some people played Roger in 2K a few days ago, and they acted silly after the match. And he was a little, didn't like the way they played in game, and that's fine. But then they were tweeting kind of hatefully and disrespectful towards both of us. And it's just, it's a little silly. And that doesn't mean, that they're not draft eligible by any team or anything like that. It doesn't mean like that at all, but I just see everything. So just keep that in mind, guys. And then obviously, I would be lying if I said I wouldn't have more access to view you if you streamed, but by no means does that mean you have to stream to get drafted. That's just not reality, but it definitely gives me more access to be able to see you and you showcase your talents.
Yep. Good advice. Was that the 5-out thing with Roger?
Well, I particularly don't care if you run 5-out. That's just not me. Roger's team lost because I think that they weren't as good as the other team. I think that the other team outplayed them. I watched that whole game. I was literally at the office.
Careful, Jonah.
I was watching him. I thought that, I'm not. Roger's my guy. Don't get me wrong.
Careful, Jonah. Roger's the best 2K player I've ever seen. This is. I don't want you to hear this.
Something like that. But yeah, it's just, I don't appreciate when guys are, gonna badmouth my brand on Twitter and do stuff like that. It just isn't. I just can't see a world where that ends in a positive thing for you. And that doesn't mean I'm calling out anyone specifically. That really doesn't mean that. Even some people last night were upset at the way the tournament was ran, and I worked too hard on that tournament to hear anything like that, and so I just decided to clear the air and then move on from the situation. And it's just that kind of thing. It's like, hey, if you're really trying to do this thing, then why are you going on Twitter and you're just bashing me and what we're working hard on every day. I just don't know how that will ever work positively for you, but if it works for you, absolutely.
It doesn't. Do you know Gary Vaynerchuk?
Sorry, who's that? Gary V.
Do you know Gary Vaynerchuk, the social media influencer? Anyways, he always says
yes, I do know who you're talking about. I do.
Yeah, he always says that the only people that listen to your complaining are your other loser friends. Complaining literally gets you nowhere. It's so counterproductive and so negative. It just take it out of your vocabulary.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's just a pet peeve of mine, especially because like Roger and I work really hard on what we're doing and expanding this Mavs gaming brand and trying to make it the go-to place for the NBA 2K League and in every way really. And as you see, we're the only ones to hire a coach so far, and that should say a lot to the community. I mean, I just don't appreciate when I hear and see people, speaking poorly on us. And I get that there will always be those people in the world, and that's completely okay. And I'm not going to go on Twitter and badmouth you either and say, hey, if that's how you feel, that's completely fine. But that's fine. We're fine without you. Just on
that too, the Mavs have hired. You've hired Glizzy as a freelance graphics guy, right?
Yeah. Glizzy's great.
He works that hard from on the outside looking in at him. He works so hard. I wish I had that sort of drive as a 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah,
I just didn't have it.
Glizzy's obviously he's a young kid. He's a high schooler.
Yeah.
So and he's from Baltimore, so apparently he's not from the best area. And that even more impresses me that he's so dedicated to what he does. And he's not chaos, and by that I mean he isn't like he's a younger kid, and he can't do insanely like amazing graphics, but he does really quick, clean, efficient. That a lot of times that's what we need is we need something in 20 minutes. It's done real quick, and Glizzy's our guy. And then days like yesterday, he helped us so much with the tournament. And obviously he's getting paid to do all this too, which adds. And the thing is he'd do it for free. We know it. He would probably pay us to be able to do it. And the thing is we're not going to – I want to make sure that doesn't happen to him. And Roger too. I mean, we both like him. He's just very, very like hardworking, dedicated to what he does.
Yeah, and in terms of his graphics, he works that hard that he'll get better at it, and yeah,
absolutely,
he'll be amazing.
You can already see a lot of progress, and over the past like year and a half of the graphics he's done, you can see a huge amount of progress.
One thing I wanted to clear up, have you clear up, is and it came out of the mock draft, the third iteration of the mock draft that happened, I guess, 2 weeks ago. The picking of friends and the picking of YouTubers and the 2K League is only going to be for people with quote-unquote clout. Do you want to clear that up?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the combine is set up to where there's no biases. The situation is that the best players are supposed to make it out, and that those players are the ones to be drafted, right? My worry is that the community backlash is going to be negative if a YouTuber does make it out, even though he worked hard and deserved it. Annoying. One, that 2-on-2 tourney we hosted yesterday, there was a lot of good talent there, a lot of them. A lot of guys, I wasn't maybe hugely, aware of until yesterday. But, I mean, there's a lot of great talent. I could name a lot of good names of people that they beat on the way to winning that tournament, him and Worthing Cole. And those are two guys that, if they get drafted, people will say, oh, they'll get drafted because, their prior fame and I guess clout, right? Their notoriety. And maybe they outworked you guys at the end of the day. I don't want there to be any like question marks on why guys get drafted. It's really like based around who are the best players. And just because a guy like Dimes has clout, has all these features like the one he had from Jordan just a few weeks ago on Twitter and stuff like that, that doesn't mean Dimes doesn't work harder than almost every player in the world, because he does. Dimes is playing every day, working to perfect his craft. That's what he does. He's great about that. He's very committed to it. he outworked you. At the end of the day, maybe he's really a better 2K player than you are. And it's not based on the fact that, he's known already. It's based around the fact that he's just very good.
Well said, Jonah. I still know that on draft day, Twitter is going to burn to the ground. NBA 2K Twitter, I mean.
It will be interesting to see. And like I said, I see it all. I see everything you guys tweet and say. So please don't get upset that you don't get picked and ruin chances for season 2 or to be a free agent, or, there's potential, whether it be actually working for our team. So whether it be, maybe being a local practice team, stuff like that, just don't be silly enough to tweet out stuff like that and ruin potential chances down the road. Don't burn bridges. Just try to be as positive as you can. Obviously tough stuff happens. Sometimes you feel like you deserve something, you don't get it. That's okay. You got to bounce back, work harder.
Yeah, very good advice. You're a busy man. I want to let you recover from your massive weekend with the Mavs gaming meetup. So thanks for coming on, and anything you want to promote, tell us where to find your Twitter, Mavs Gaming Twitter, Roger's Twitter. Go ahead.
All right, yeah. So I'm on Twitter at Daddy Jonah, and then I'm also on Twitch at Daddy Jonah _, Instagram at Daddy Jonah _, and then Snapchat at Daddy Jonah. So if you guys ever want to, follow me, follow what I'm doing, go ahead, drop a follow on any of those. And then also, we have Roger Caneda, Roger 2K. And then obviously follow at Mavsgg on Twitter and Instagram. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. You guys don't want to miss it. Make sure to follow in. If you haven't been to our website too, or also Mavs.gg, sign up for our newsletter. Make sure you don't miss out on any news from us and also from the 2K League. We'll make sure you guys are informed on everything you need to be informed on. So just go ahead and go on there and fill that out for us. And we appreciate all y'all, especially, guys that are turning out. We had a huge turnout yesterday to our tournament. We have, we get great responses on Twitter, pretty much on everything. And we really appreciate all our fans. So thank you guys.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Excellent. Thanks. Thanks for coming on, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah.
Follow at The Green Release on Twitter for all 2K updates.